Hello there, welcome back to Gaurav Tutorials, and in this video we will be discussing about the growth rates. In the last class we have discussed what is an arithmetic growth rate. In the arithmetic growth we have a meristematic cell. This meristematic cell will divide and form two daughter cell. One of the daughter cell will get differentiated whereas the other will not get differentiate and would remain and would continue to divide. In fact, this division, the cell on dividing will give rise to two daughter cells once more. One of the cell will again get differentiated and the other will still maintain its or retain its ability to divide. This would again divide and form two cells. One of these cells will again get differentiated and the other would still retain its ability and remain as meristem to divide. So the cells that are formed, one of them would divide and the other gets differentiated, right? And on the basis of this we solved two problems and came across a mathematical formula, that is nt is equal to n0 plus rt, or lt is equal to l0 plus rt, where nt happens to be number of cells at time t, right? Nt happens to be number of cells at time t. Then n0 is equal to number of cells at time 0, r here happens to be the rate of growth, and then you had t was your time. Here instead of nt, n0, if you take lt and l0, the l here would be length, the length of the time. Okay, length of the time. All right, now coming back to our topic for the video, that is geometric growth. Now most of the cells that we see around us divide in this geometric type of they show us geometric growth. So what would happen here? We have a cell, this cell divides and forms two daughter cell. These two daughter cells will divide again and in turn form two daughter cells each. So you have got four cells now. These four cells will divide again and add two daughter cells each, making up the total number of cells as 8. These 8 cells will divide again and form 16 cells. So what am I going to find? That each and every cell that is formed divides, right? These newly formed cells are actually having the ability to divide. They do not lose the ability of division and do not undergo differentiation, right? So every cell in such type of growth divides, right? So due to this, what do we find is initial number of cells, right? Initial number of cells are very low. It's very less or it's very low, right? Here the growth is so rapid that you can actually call it a exponential growth. The growth is so rapid that you can actually call it a exponential growth, right? And henceforth you can actually refer to it as log phase. You can also call it as logarithmic growth. If you can actually short it down, then you will be calling it as log growth. Okay, you can also call it as log growth. When this type of growth is plotted on a graph, right? When this type of growth is plotted on a graph, it shows us a sigmoid curve, right? So if I were to plot a graph of this thing, and on the x-axis, if I plot time, this becomes my x-axis. On the x-axis I plot time, and on the y-axis I plot either the size, either the weight. I can also plot number of cells, or I can also plot the height of the plant. In such a type of growth, in basically the arithmetic type of growth, I'll find there'll be a curve that will be of this type, S type of growth, right? This type of curve is called as a sigmoid curve. This type of curve is called as a sigmoid type of curve, or you can also call it as S curve. It's also called as S curve, S-shaped curve. Now here you will be able to find three different type of phases. All right. So this particular phase, starting from this point O, like let's call it origin. From origin to this point, we have a phase called as lag phase. We have a phase called as lag phase. Let's call this point A. From this point A to point B, pretty much point like this point, we have a phase called as log phase. We have a phase called as log phase. Remember students, this is lag and this one is log. Now if you're not going to call it lag, I mean log phase, you can also refer to it as exponential phase. Exponential phase. And lastly, you end up at this part from B to this particular phase, that's C. It's called as stationary phase. It's called as stationary phase. So if I have to write it down on a answer sheet, then these phases can be written as, let's first name them lag phase. Let's write it down, lag phase. So what do you understand by lag phase, or what do you actually observe in this phase? You find that the rate of growth, right, it happens to be the initial phase. It happens to be the initial phase, and in this initial phase the rate of growth is very slow. So I'll write it down it as slow rate of growth. Slow growth rate will be better. Slow growth rate. Okay, yeah. Let me just zoom into this thing. Yeah. So in the lag phase, there'll be it'll be the initial phase, and the growth rate that you'll find here will be very slow. And this comes from the fact that it actually denotes you the beginning of the growth, right? It indicates the beginning of the growth, and here you'll have the number of cells being very less. Number of cells are very low, and as the number of the cells are very low, the metabolic activity here would be very less, right? Jumping on to the next phase. Next phase is exponential phase, or you can call it as log phase. So there is an exponential phase, or you will be referring to it as log phase. So what do you observe during the log phase, or what do you observe during the exponential growth? Here the growth happens to be very rapid. The growth is very rapid, right? It's because the number of cells have increased. Initially during the lag phase, the number of cells was very low. Upon the consumption of the nutrient, upon the consumption of the substrates present in the medium, the cells would use it up, they would divide, and the number of cells would increase. This increased number of cells would ensure that there is more consumption of the nutrient in the medium, and owing to the greater consumption, they would become more active metabolically, and their number would increase. They would reproduce. Okay, so what you'll find is growth is very rapid. The mother as well as the parent as well as the daughter cell, right? Both the parent as well as the daughter cell as well as the daughter cells have the ability to divide, all the cells that are formed during this the geometric phase will have the ability to divide. But Such a type of growth, that is exponential phase, it does not last long. It does not, it doesn't, it, in fact, it doesn't last long. Now, why does this happen? Why does the exponential phase does not last very long? Any idea? Any idea? Here, the cells were metabolically highly active. They were highly active with respect to their metabolism, owing to the fact that the medium had lots and lots of nutrient. You understand? So let me put it down here. Metabolically active cells. Active cells. Now, this was due to the fact that the medium had lots and lots of nutrients in it. But as the number of cells were increasing, you understand, as the number of the cells were increasing, what were they doing was they were consuming more number of substrate. They were consuming more amount of substrate from the medium, which would lead to deficiency of the nutrients in the medium. It would cause shortage of the nutrients in the medium. And once that happens, our cells would enter into a phase called as stationary phase. Our cells would enter into a phase called as stationary phase. Right. Now, what happens in the stationary phase is the growth slows down, right? The growth of these microbes or the plant cells slows down. Now, you do know what is the reason for this slowdown of the growth in the number of the cells, right? It comes from the fact that there is shortage. Firstly, there is shortage of food. In fact, shortage of food. Now, more number of cells would consume the food, and there would be more toxic product produced by them, right? Where will these toxic products go? They would accumulate into our medium. They would accumulate around the bacterial or the plant cell. So there is accumulation. Just a minute. Yeah, there is accumulation of toxic and harmful substances, right? Harmful substances. All right. This phase is referred to as the stationary phase. Now, what do you find for most number of plants and most number of microbial cultures is this type of growth, right? They will show you this S type of growth, and during this O to A, that is the lag phase, the initial number of the cells was very low, and they were actually able to somehow able to utilize the nutrient present in the medium and survive basically and prepare themselves to increase their population. Basically, this is a preparatory phase. Now, from the lag phase, the bacterial cells or the plant cells enter into a phase called as log phase. They would utilize the nutrients present in the medium and would grow rapidly. Cells are highly metabolically active here, and once this thing happens, the greater amount of cell, the more is the number of the cell in this exponential phase, more would be the consumption of the medium, the nutrients present in the medium, which would ultimately lead to the shortage of the nutrients in the medium, causing the cells to enter into a rest phase. That is a phase where the nutrients are deficient, the accumulation of the toxic material would take place, and all of these conditions would ensure that the growth slows down, making sure that the plant enters into the stationary phase, or the bacterial cell or the culture of ours basically enter into the stationary phase. Now, generally, the plants which shows seasonal activity, okay, the plants which have got seasonal activities shows this type of growth only for a certain period of time, right? They do not actually show S type of growth. Okay, what will we find here is they'll have a certain growth, then it will stop because it's a seasonal plant. Okay, it will stop for a certain period of time, and after that they'll grow again. This will stop, then they'll grow, and then stop. So basically what do we find in the seasonal plants is that they do not actually show this S type of movement. They do not show a sigmoid movement. And if mathematically I were to actually plot this thing, if I were to write it mathematically, if I were to write the formula for this type of growth, I could write it as W1 is equal to W0 e power RT, right? The formula can be written as W1 equals W0 e power RT, where W1 is the final size. W1 is the final size. This could be actually the weight, it could be the height, or it could be the number of the cells. Then W0 here indicates initial size. It indicates initial size. E here is the base of natural log. E is the base of natural log. R is again growth rate. And then you have got T. T is time, right? So what we have discussed in this video, we'll have a quick revision of this, and then we'll wind up the video. In this video today, we have discussed about the geometric growth. It says that all the cells which are formed due to the activity of the division will retain their ability to divide. They would not differentiate themselves. They would divide and add new cells. The newly formed cells would divide again to form new cells, and henceforth we'll have a growth where you'll find lots and lots of cells, right? We observed that the growth which is observed, which is shown by this geometrical type of growth, or the cells which shows geometric type of growth, when their growth is plotted on the graph, they show us a sigmoid curve where we'll find three different phases: a lag phase, a log phase, and a stationary phase. Also, we understood what is the formula for this geometrical growth. The formula is W1 equals W0 e power RT, where W1 is the final size, W0 is the initial size, E is the base of natural log, R is the growth rate, and T is time. We'll wind up the video here. I hope you would have understood the video. If that is the case, you can hit the like button. You can also share the video with your friends, and if at all you find the channel to be helpful, do subscribe to the channel. In the next video, we will be talking about the two types of growth observed in case of the plant, that is the absolute growth rate and the relative growth rate. I'll see you in the next video. Till then, take a very good care of yourself, and God bless us all.